if you are not alert to the fact that you could give attention to things that make you feel uncomfortable, and when you do, your attention to what has made you feel uncomfortable has you in a diminished condition relative to resources. And when you are in a diminished condition relative to resources, and you continue to try to fix it anyway through your words or through your behavior or through your financial offering or through whatever support you're giving, you are not helping. You only help when you tune in and radiate an example of the place, the avenue, the way that those you want to help will also receive their benefit. It is through the clarity of your example of thriving that you give your greatest gift. So this falls into the category of when you do for others, while they may think it was a good idea because you may have helped them out of an immediate bind, what you're actually saying in a stronger way is, I do this for you because I see you cannot do it for yourself. And that is the greatest diminishing understanding. When instead you see them in their diminished capacity, maybe they're sick, maybe they're broke, maybe they're ornery, maybe they're in trouble, maybe they feel defeated, maybe something has gone wrong and they've confided in you and you are aware of it. And as you become aware of it, what happens in your awareness of it is you begin to offer a different vibration, because as you see them, as you don't want to see them and as they don't want to be seen, you activate a vibration within you that separates you from the way the source within you sees them. Because the source within you sees them as they want to be always, as they have become vibrationally, not as they temporarily are in their current state. When Jesus healed them, it was because he saw them in their perfect state of wellness, not in their state of dripping illness. So when you see them in their diminished state, just by virtue of your attention to that and you're wanting to be there for them, you activate within yourself a vibration that's different from the vibration that the source within you is offering about the same subject, which means you use them as your excuse to pinch yourself off from who you are. Not a gift to them and not a gift to you. But in the process of your conversation with them, and we will say in the process of your step one conversation with them, you know what you don't want, so you know what you do want. You literally put a vibrational version of them, the new and improved version, because you've been privy to the conversation and the awareness of what's going on with them. You put a new and improved version of them in your vibrational escrow, a version that you now owe it to yourself and to them to live up to. You have to keep up with what life has caused you to become. And now you have become, because of your conversation with them, someone who sees them differently than you did before. Because when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. You have crafted, you have created a new vibrational reality relative to them. And the larger part of you has already become it. So now you have seen a glimpse of their success. You've got to give your undivided attention to that success, or two things not wanted will happen. You'll be diminished, and so will they. You can't create in their reality. But when you hold someone as your object of attention and you don't feel good while you do it, you are not the influencer for upliftment that you were born to be. And law of attraction responds to whatever you're feeling. Haven't you ever walked into a room and known that there was a negative conversation going on about you before you walked in? Does that ever happen? You walked in, suddenly everybody stopped talking. And they had that, I just ate the canary smile on their face. And even if you didn't have a visual on it, you can feel it because there's something screwy going on in the vibration. You can always feel those things. Have you ever walked into an environment where someone is loving you? Oh, what a nice feeling that is. So what we are getting at here is all day, every day, you have two options. And really, only two options about whatever the subject that's active within you is. Whether you're remembering the past or focusing upon something in your now or anticipating the future, you have two options. You can play it up to something that feels better or play it down to something that feels worse. You can't find the best feeling thought that you've ever thought about it, maybe in this moment, nor are you likely to find the worst feeling thought you've ever thought about it in this moment. You don't have access to that broad of a range because law of attraction doesn't give you access to that broad of a range. But you do have access to the thought that leans toward who you really are or the thought that leans away from who you really are. You do have the ability to lean into who you have become, which always feels better, or away from who you've become, which always feels worse. Those are your options. And if, as we are chewing together today, you come to a decision that you're going to lean in the direction of who you really are, that's the only decision you'd ever have to make to begin right now to live happily ever after. Because once you decide that you'd rather feel good than bad, or rather feel better than worse, or rather be optimistic than pessimistic, that you'd rather applaud than complain, that you'd rather compliment than find fault, that you'd rather feel good than bad, once you come to that decisive point, then you have turned the corner on all subjects. You have begun to be the uplifter that you were born to be. And it is our promise to you that your path from that moment forward can do nothing but improve. But many of you have been born into an environment where you have for a while, maybe for a long while, been beating the drum of false premises. You've been born into a reality where people are sifting through contrast and often not where they want to be, and then coming to incorrect and erroneous assumptions about why they stand in the place they don't want to be. So you gather up a bunch of premises that you use as the basis of your life that are not accurate premises. They don't jive with the laws of the universe. They don't jive with an understanding of worthiness. They lean toward an idea that you're not worthy here to prove worthiness. You have things such as, without pain there is no gain. That's a false premise. You say things like, it's better to give than to receive. Couldn't be more screwy. If you give before you have received, you have nothing to give. You will be depleted, you see. Then there's the chicken and the egg thing. That's another one. Let's see. There are several false premises that you try to adhere to or use as the basis of your experience that do not serve you. You say things like, I'm here as an imperfect being, and that which is source is perfect. And if I jump through these hoops, I will catch up. And in my flawed beingness, if I struggle hard enough and work long enough, just maybe, depending upon what circle of religion I stand in, when I croak, it'll turn out good for me. But there's so much inconsistency in that now almost everyone you know is terrified of dying because you don't think you're ready. There are people who really don't want to be in their physical bodies anymore that hang on because they're not sure it might be worse later. That's a false premise. When you reemerge into non-physical, you release all doubt and fear and all resistance. And you become that being that life has caused you to become. The exhilaration in releasing resistance cannot even begin to be described in your physical terms. What you call death experience, we call it croaking. We like to be as disrespectful of the idea of death and endedness as we can. Those are false premises that hinder your approach to life experience. There's another one. It's, I must face the truth. I must tell the truth. I must tell it like it is. I must give my undivided attention to what is right now. And in order to be honest, I must make sure that everyone who comes near me knows that I see it this way. How are you doing? Terrible. Did you get that job? No. I'm as broke as I was the last time you asked me. How's your relationship? Terrible. She's still mean to me every day. She makes me do stuff I don't want to do. How's your employer? Well, he hasn't been hit by that truck yet. I'm still working on that. In other words, there is this, oh, well, we're exaggerating only slightly, because often you don't say those things because they're frowned upon. That's another false premise. You can feel things deeply, but as long as you don't say them out loud, it won't cause you any problem. Because it's only when you say them out loud that other people hear them and respond to them. Well, is that true? Or can you feel what was going on when you walked in the room? Can you keep vibrational secrets from others? Can you keep it from the universe? Can you keep the vibration that you're offering and the way you feel a secret from law of attraction that is responding to your vibration? You can't, can you? So there are so many false and screwy premises that people have been dabbling in, listening to, trying to conform to, and then when they don't get any kind of consistent results, then they assume the greatest false premise of all. I must not be worthy, because if I were worthy, things would be going better for me. And that one, oh, that's a killer. In other words, that's the one that cripples you the most. That self-deprecation, that feeling of not enoughness, that feeling of incapability, that feeling of powerlessness. Those feelings are the feelings that are the most representative of the powerlessness, which is the opposite of who you are. It is the greatest false premise of all. So, as we come together, whether you are reading something we've written or listening to anything that we have ever said, we want you to understand that everything we offer and every word Esther translates from our vibration is offered with the intention of helping you to restore your awareness to the valid premises that match the laws of the universe. Because when you start consciously understanding the laws as they are, and you test them from that conscious awareness of them, they will prove to you every single time without exception of the validity of these truths. You are the creator of your own reality. You were worthy before you focused into this physical body, and you still are now that you've been here, no matter what. Law of attraction is responding to everyone equally across the board. You are more non-physical source energy vibration than you are flesh, blood, and bone being that you see here in these physical bodies. Law of attraction, which responds to everything, everyone, says that which is likened to itself is drawn. So whatever vibration is active, law of attraction is making it more active by bringing more things that match it to it. You are source energy with a perspective that law of attraction is responding to, and you are physically focused, leading edge genius creators out here on the leading edge of thought in your magnificent bodies in this time-space reality of perfect diversity, and law of attraction is responding to that aspect of you too. As law of attraction responds to both vibrational aspects of you, you feel the harmony or not of those two vibrational relationships. The better you feel, the more that part of you is in sync with this part of you. The worse you feel, the more that part of you, that physical part of you, is out of sync with this part of you. When life in your physical form causes you to know what you don't want, it causes you to know, whether you speak it or not, what you do want. And when that occurs, you emanate a vibrational request that the larger part of you receives and responds to and becomes immediately. And law of attraction in that instant begins responding to that newly formed vibrational version of you. There is a vibrational reality that is amassing constantly, which is the true you. There is the physical reality, the knock on wood, manifested, actualized, I can see it, taste it, smell it, hear it, touch it, reality. That reality is only slightly different than the vibrational reality in that what's already manifested, you've just been thinking about it long enough that now it's showing up to give you awareness of how you've been vibrating.